I just set the printer going, and of course that's going to create a few moments of noise. Okay, let's get going anyway. Hopefully it's not too bad for you. Welcome everybody to EOcafe. We're here today. We're joined, I'm very pleased to say, with Marie-Françoise Vaudreau from OGC and Emmanuel Pajot from EARSC. And we're here to talk about eShape and the opportunities that can give to industry. Normal rules will apply. Oh, sorry about the noise. Normal rules will apply. So microphones off unless you're talking. Please, you can keep cameras on. We've just found out that with our subscription, we have a limitation on number of cameras. So if you can't turn it on, we apologize, but we'll try to fix that. And if you want to ask a question, please put it into the chat and we'll come to you later in the meeting. And I will ask you to pose your question, but please signal that in the chat so that we can pick it up. So without further ado, let's get going. eShape is a major European project, contribution to GEO, contribution specifically to EuroGeo. It's about trying to get value for Europe out of GEO and creating a number of pilots and demonstrations and a lot of actions towards sustainability. But we'll hear more about that from our speakers. So firstly, I'd just like to ask each of our speakers just to give a very short introduction to themselves, their background, and how you've come to be working where you are. Marie-Françoise, if I can just ask you first, very quickly.
Thank you, Jeff. So I work with the Open Geospatial Consortium, where, as said by Jeff, I am a director with the Innovation Program in Europe, with a focus on initiatives related to Earth observation. I'm involved in several initiatives of importance for GEO, the group on Earth observation, and for example, typically eShape Edge 2020 project and NextGeos. Considering my academic background, I have 2 degrees, one in meteorology and one in computer sciences, and this has shaped all my career, because I have worked for 30 years on information systems applied to meteorological information, but for customers such as the forces, Air France, the Space Agency in Kourou, and so on. And with these projects, I have developed a full comprehensive view end-to-end of Earth observation information systems from the data production to the uses.
That's great, Marie-Françoise. I was just thinking, it just came to me. I think the last time that we met must have been in the hotel for breakfast in Canberra, when we were talking about eShape and about the survey that you were conducting, that we'll talk about in a moment. So I don't think we've had a chance to meet since then. So that's about 6 months ago. Emmanuel is with us. I just say a few words because many of you will know will take over from myself as the Secretary General of EARSC as of next Wednesday, so the 1st of July. So Emmanuel will pilot EARSC 4.0 through into a new era, and I shall still be around to provide support and help where I can. I'll have a role as strategic advisor for the EARSC board, but Emmanuel will be the Secretary General and be your main point of contact for any aspects to do with EARSC. So with that little introduction, Emmanuel, I'll leave the rest to you just to introduce yourself and how you got to where you are.
Thank you, Jeff. Before joining EARSC, I worked 13 years in the private sector as a geologist and SAR specialist. I have a PhD in SAR imagery. I worked in the upstream and downstream sides of the oil and gas industry. When I joined EARSC in 2017, it was to prepare with members and with the support of ESA, the EOMOL, the web platform dedicated to the promotion of online services. And it was my first experience with GEO, and I was involved too in the NextGeos. Currently, I am, although the project coordinator of EARSC Accelerator, which helps companies to develop new Earth observation-based services targeting energy, agro-food, and environment. And I am leading the work package 4 on eShape. which is about the user uptake liaison activity.
Yes, so happily we have two of the main work package leaders in eShape with us in the EOcafe. We have another key player sitting in the cafe as well, Thierry Ransan, who is the overall coordinator for eShape, doing a great job. So if there are any really difficult questions, I'll throw them to Thierry to answer. But to start off with, maybe I can just turn to you, Marie-Françoise. Now you're working with OGC. What can OGC?
Oh. Lost the sound.
Unfortunately, I think Jeff was disconnected. We heard something.
You don't hear me?
Yeah, now you're back.
Okay. I shut down Skype. Okay. So I was just turning to Marie-Françoise. If you could you're now working for OGC, could you tell us a little bit about how OGC can help support companies in Europe and the EO service companies that make up EARSC membership in particular?
Do you want me to go through the presentation? Yes. Okay, so I will share my screen. There. Have my window? Yes.
Yes, perfect.
Okay, so I explained that I work with the innovation program, and I will introduce a little bit about OGC and this program in particular, and how we link with eShape, of course. So what is OGC? It is a global consortium which is representing over 500 industry, government, research, and academic member organizations. And this is a big part of the richness of OGC, this mix of types of members. It is a hub for thought leadership and innovation because we meet once each 3 months, and this is the opportunity to develop a lot of ideas, but also projects. And it's a neutral and trusted forum, so OGC is neutral, and this is very important, including for eShape. And then when we see that there is a need of standards, we develop a consensus-based open standards when needed. All these standards are linked to location because our vision is to share location information and to use location to connect people, communities, and technology for decision making and support all that all over the world. So considering the benefits for our members, as I know here that most of EARSC members are businesses, we support the business development. We give a competitive technical advantage to our members because we make a watch about the new technological trends, and we develop projects to stick to the market based on video scenarios. We are global, so this helps to have a brand exposure globally, and we implement initiatives which can be funded. So then we have, of course, governmental members where we support innovation and market. We provide trusted advices, and I hope we will bring that to eShape too. And we support international partnerships and operational policy. Certification is something important too, is that we have a certification program to demonstrate that your implementations of standards are compliant. And then we have a lot of academias that bring their own qualities and their own dynamics, where we can also fund a part of the project if they align with our initiative. So as I said, we have our CTO who makes a watch for technological trends. This triggers a lot of the innovation activities and projects we have. And in this area, this is where we find the activities for H2020 projects. And when we identify some gaps and needs for standardization, then we can bring that to our standard program where our members contribute to develop the standards all together. And this is how we work in a regular basis. Considering the initiatives we are implementing, we have different type of initiatives. And if there are some OGC members here in the attendance, you have heard a lot about the testbeds, which are the major ones. But we also have engineering services, pilots, which are more focused, plug-fest, sprints, and so on. And this depends on the variety of the activities and the TRL, the maturity of the innovation we want to bring. And the H2020 projects are typically engineering services, and they can cover all the spectrum of the maturity of activities. So right now, into the current initiative we are running, we are involved in 4 European projects, which are EShape, but also Next, I mentioned before, Tibele, and Demeter. And we have other initiatives, but of course, we all of these are cross supporting each other, and we align regularly to make sure that we bring the innovation from one project to another. And this is more or less what OGC can bring to the European projects and to EShape as a specific expertise and skills.
Yes, thanks, Marie-Francoise. So the notion of technology readiness level, and indeed what we've referred to as exploitation readiness level, is very important within EShape. You're leading the work package 3, which is about the coordination of the showcases. But let's come back to that in a moment, and let me just ask Emmanuel if he can just give us an overview of what the pilots are of EShape and what the pilots are in EShape. Emmanuel.
Yes, EShape is not an H20 project as usual. EShape is one of the 3 key projects EARSC is involved in with Parsec on Fire mentioned previously. EShape is really about the access to market, which is a key challenge for company. It is an opportunity as a pan-European ecosystem. It's a very big project, having 55 partners, more than 55 partners, 27 pilots, and it's a 4-year-long project. It is an opportunity to increase the visibility of partners' capabilities, which support EuroGeo, which support the SDGs, Paris Agreement, and CEDARIN framework to the widest Earth observation community, GEO. EShape also already planned from the beginning to onboard new partners. So it's a real opportunity, although, to become a full partner to join the consortium of this leading H2020 project of the EuroGeo initiative. So EShape will not first create an additional platform, but will leverage Copernicus, making use of existing European capacities and improving user uptake of the data from GEO assets. And EShape's aim to develop operational Earth observation services beyond for users, to promote the uptake at national and international scale, to enable the long-term sustainability of the upscaling of pilot, their penetration in markets, and to increase the awareness through tailored communication. So really, EShape is promoting this through 7 what we call showcase: agriculture, climate, disaster, ecosystem, health, renewable energy on waters. Just to give you a snapshot of what they're about, for agriculture, it consists of 4 pilots, which all of them showcase Copernicus data sets combined with in-situ data, whether on soil climate. Climate is exhibiting services from local cities to global scale. It could be, for example, global carbon and greenhouse gas emission. It could be urban resilience to extreme weather. It could be hydropower in snow reservoir. The factor which uniting the most this pilot is really the seasonal forecast information from the Copernicus climate change services. For the disaster showcase, it deals with a portfolio of natural and human-induced disaster, geohazard, extreme weather, fires, floods, for the protection of citizens and economies. The showcase My Ecosystem is really serving focal user groups, such as research, environmental assessment, reporting, and management by offering seamless access to consistently scaled environmental information from various sources. The Health Showcase will perform surveillance of pollutants such as mercury, persistent organic pollutant, POP, in the environment and their impact on the public health through in situ and space-based environmental observation. The Renewable Energy Showcase has 3 pilots currently, 1 on onshore wind and 2 on solar energy for nowcasting and short-term forecasting system, and the other one for the penetration of photovoltaic use at a urban scale. And the Water Resource Management Showcase reflects really a multidisciplinary approach, 5 different activities, going from inland water to coastal areas and the ocean. For example, it could be about the historical water availability and quality. It could target really specific communities of users, such as a dive community, or feature, such as the sargassum detection. But eShape is not only about pilots too. It's a complete set of support actions, which are co-design activities, design with the user, user uptake activity, support to implementation of product, and sustainability booster to help entities to really develop in the long term, and obviously dedicated communication.
Great, thanks, Emmanuel. So we have 7 showcases, 27 pilots, a lot of horizontal support activities to try to help each of those pilots grow more mature and to get closer to becoming some form of operational and even commercial service. Our goal, of course, is towards commerciality. So as one example of the sort of support that's being given to these showcases, to these pilots, we'll come back to more later. Marie-Françoise has been doing a fantastic job looking at the platforms that are available throughout Europe, which have been invested in by the different players in Europe, and which can be used to help pilots develop their capabilities. So Marie-Françoise, perhaps you could tell us a little bit now about I think you've been doing a really great job. If you could tell us about the platforms.
Well, thank you very much for your support, Jeff. So yes, as I said, and as Emmanuel said, we are leading the implementation activities. And this means that we have to listen to the pilot to understand which are their expectations and to support exactly what they need. As Emmanuel presented, the pilots are very diverse in terms of thematic, but also in terms of maturity and in terms of vision on how things are organized. So we have to learn about that. And then we have to bring a timely support, because the process of development is over 4 years, and each of them being at different stages. We have to bring them the support they need at the right time. And we also have to monitor the progress, to capture the knowledge, because this is what eShape is about too, is to capture real implementation knowledge and to share this knowledge, share among the partners, but share much more broadly with all the EU community in Europe, of course. So this is why what we have defined is a process to implement this loop from the implementation work package and support from the project to all the pilots and capturing the knowledge here. So up, okay, so how to do that? We have made an initial assessment to understand where each pilot was, and out of that we have identified the expectations, and the main expectations, but there were much more, so we have a lot to do in the project, was about the platforms. The partners were asking to have a better view and understanding of all the different European platforms. And out of this assessment, we have identified more than 40 platforms that they are using already or they plan to use. And this includes the DS, of course, which are major stakeholders right now in Europe. And so we began to make a work to try to characterize these platforms, because when they answered into the initial assessment, it was a little bit like messy. There was a mix between the portals and the data as a service and the platforms providing cloud services. So we began to work on that. We have already identified very quickly that among these 40 platforms, we still had some lags. So for instance, we have the 4 thematic exploitation platforms from ESA, but we are lacking the forestry, coastal, and polar. And we have some collaborative grant segments, but not all of them. So meaning that this is already a lot of platforms, and it is still not covering all the richness of the European resources. So how to characterize these platforms? We have identified that thematic is a good way to identify what they are for. So some are specialized, some are generalist. Some of them have a regional focus and some are global. Some are addressing a very specific data type, typically the satellite. And some attempt to provide heterogeneous data, because we are dealing with big data, and big can be volume, but it can also be variety. User focus, some are dedicated for researchers and some want to address business and on duty, and we know that this can be very different in the term of time response, in terms of ergonomics, and so on. Some are different, providing different cloud services, as I mentioned before. Some are portals, some are data hubs or services, and some are infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or software as a service. Some can have different data eviction policies for those who are providing data. So this is archive devs or also online devs. Some have different governance. Some are private, some are public-private partnerships. And some have different business model, because it can be anything, Earth observation as a service. So if we take again these 40 platforms, we can see that these criteria already give a good sorting and allow to identify interesting clusters through the platforms. Some with some agriculture platform, atmosphere, some platforms dedicating for research in situ or for citizen science, or for research users. And we still have a big group, I would say, cluster of generalist platforms where we can find all the DS, for instance. So if I go through all the metadata, I would say, about these platforms, we began this exercise to characterize the platforms. And if I take here the 4 platforms which are linked by the fact that they all use ELIP as a foundation, which is provided by TerraDue. If we make this type of ID of the platforms, we can see that some of the platforms are thematic. NextGeos is general, and TerraDue is also providing its services as a general platform, but this one is more focusing on satellite, when NextGeos try to address all the different types of data and is already providing in situ or citizen science. And these ones are more addressing these domains. And then we can see here that in the governance, it can also be different. But sharing this platform gives a good capacity to interoperate. I have made this exercise with Emmanuel. Thank you, Emmanuel, for EOMOL to try to characterize EOMOL as a portal. And so you have a global coverage, you address any thematic, and you provide online services provided by EARSC members, and your portal, and so on. But we can see that this is not enough still for the DS, because you might have an ID that will look alike a lot through all the DS. And so we have to go deeper into the different services they're providing. And EARSC had done already a very good first round of assessment of the DS some years ago. And so I'm trying to push that further. I know that we work closely with EARSC. I know that doing that also on this side. So I try for each layer of the platform as a service structure to review systematically which are the commonalities where we will find the standards and so on, and all the level where you can interoperate. and which are the specificities where you will identify the unique values for each DS. And the goal is really not to push any competition, but identify the best fit for use. And what we see that this work has already encouraged some pilots to consider the DS just because it lowers the level of complexity. And this really is what this work is trying to bring. And of course, one of the questions is the cost, and it's very difficult to compare the cost because they have a different framework. And so I think we are going to use the EShape pilots to try to characterize and understand this cost out of real scenarios. So this work is ongoing. I have communicated in the EuroGeos workshop and recently in a webinar co-organized by EShape and NextGeos, if you want to know more about that. And I have been encouraged by the Commission to communicate more broadly about the improvement, regular improvements, and I'm looking for a way to do that in the best way.
Thanks, Marie-Françoise. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really, as you acknowledge, thank you for that, that we started off doing a comparison, but you've taken that to a completely different level. And I'm hoping that we can maybe help by publishing some of that material as well, and make it widely available. So the opportunity is within EShape is there are 27 pilots that were the start of the project, but right from the beginning, I didn't want to see a situation where we had a 4-year project and 27 pilots at the end, or maybe even less. So we devised an onboarding process to give the opportunity for new pilots to come on board, to take benefit of the support that could be made available through EShape, whether it's of the technical nature that Marie-Françoise has highlighted, whether it's of a business nature as we put together in a sustainability booster. So the opportunities are there, and maybe I can now ask Emmanuel to talk about that and talk about the opportunities that are available for companies, members of EARSC, to apply to respond to the onboarding call that's now open, that Emmanuel will tell you about, and to join the project and benefit from the resources. Emmanuel.
Yes, thank you. So yes, an onboarding process is currently open. It started a few weeks ago, and it will be open up to the 4th of September. So product and pilot have to address at least one of the 3 geo engagement mentioned before, SDGs, Paris Agreement, SEDAI framework, and to support EShape objective to leverage Copernicus. And a successful applicant will be completely integrated into the consortium. So it's a real opportunity for a company to be for the first time potentially in an H2020 project. And being a partner, you will have access to support activities mentioned before, co-design, user tech, implementation, support, sustainability, communication. But on top of this, you will have access to a grant up to 50K. So in order to help you in this, we defined a process to be as efficient as possible. So we created 2 documents to help you. First one is a guide for applicant, and second one is the application form. So all these documents are available directly on the EShape website. On this application call page, you can download at the bottom the document. And if you need any kind of support, of course, you can click on the top right to need support. What does this mean? It means that if you want to be part of this, as EShape is an innovative action funded by the European Union, you will have to follow the eligibility of this. So in the guide for applicant, we define all the criteria to help you to evaluate this. But don't worry, the criteria are really open for a lot of, all members could be part of this. You are eligible. It could be public bodies, it could be secondary higher education establishments, research organizations, companies, non-profit organizations, so it's really broad. Have a look at it. I will not enter into the details. So that's for the countries. Countries list is really, really broad, and you can have an easy access to this in the guide for applicants. To enter more into the detail, when you will download this application form, you will see that it is an easy process. We define it. It is composed in 3 sections. The first one is to describe your pilot. So it's really about the definition of partners' competencies, contribution to international program, and especially to the 3GO engagement. Then your relation with the communities of users, which is really a key element in EShape, and your sustainability approach. For example, on the TRL, because the TRL is something which is one of the key criteria for this evaluation, you need to have a TRL of 7 when you enter into the project. Then you will have a second section, which will describe how EShape will impact your pilot. And it is really important for the project to understand how you will grow thanks to the different support activities we can provide. And the third one is this declaration of owner. So what you need to do is to fill this template, so you don't have to write a 10-page document on this. Then you will have to submit it on the help desk, EShape help desk. Everything is absolutely well defined. It's really easy. What next? After the submission of this, we will evaluate eligibility first, and we will create a group of jury to review the proposals. This jury will be composed of work package leaders, showcase leaders. It could be expert in the domain. Evaluation criteria are the demonstration of potential and willingness to upscale, the strengthen promotion of links between GEOS and Copernicus, the coordinate downstream data exploitation of European Earth observation data sets, or you connect with others, the coherent data management through the use of GEOS data management principle and best practices, and the significant advance in Earth science modeling and downstream product development. I recall the TRL expected is 7. Best application on this ranking list will be then presented for acceptance to the EShape consortium during a general assembly, which will be end of October. So it will be a quick process for this. And of course, the final onboarding will be conditioned by the signing of the grant agreement on the consortium agreement. In order to evaluate this, a non-disclosure agreement will be signed between the selected applicants in order to evaluate this before the General Assembly. If you want to maximize your application, of course, first check your eligibility, it's a basic point, but really be clear on what your showcase will provide. If you have some doubt, it means your pilot, your product is not really aligned with one specific showcase, it's transversal. Make sure in your presentation that you will be connected to one showcase. Explicitly define how your product will fit or support one of the EDG goal or indicator. What are the current link with GEO? If you do not have, indicate what you plan to do. What are your interests, and in order to help you for this. So I think it's a really easy process. We did it really for you in order to not to waste time and to maximize the opportunity that the EShape project can provide to you. It's a great opportunity to increase your network, increase your visibility. So you have up to the 4th of September to apply. Thank you.
Thanks, Emmanuel. If maybe the answer's on the screen there, but I was going to ask if companies have questions about the process, how do they address those?
The key solution for all what is linked to the question is a help desk. So go on the EShape website, click on the help desk, and you will have a direct support to any kind of question you may have. The help desk is really the central tool for the onboarding.
And would that applies for the platforms as well, Marie-Françoise? So if companies have questions about the platforms and how that could be relevant for their onboarded pilot, then they turn to you.
Yes, sure. I am available for the partners anytime when they have a specific question, because there is such an amount of work that this drives my activities, and the idea is not to make just theoretical analysis. Is really to bring this understanding and this knowledge from the pilot, that to make sure that what we produce is matches with the expectations and the needs. This is the difference between what we and theoretical analysis.
There's some noise coming from someone's microphone. No, not Emmanuel. Marie-Françoise, can you just test your microphone?
I can.
No, it's still there. Strange. Hopefully it will disappear. Okay. So one thing I heard in what you said there was that the support is really for those once a pilot is onboarded, or once a new partner has come into the project, then they can turn for support. I know we have Thierry in the cafe this afternoon. Thierry, who's overall coordinator for Reshape. Is there anything you want to add, Thierry?
Thank you, Jeff. That's my pleasure to follow with you this EOcafe. Just missing the coffee, but it's okay. So I will take one after. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So
I brought mine. It's tea, but
okay.
never mind.
Okay, great. So that's really a pleasure to follow the discussion, because I was not helping to prepare Emmanuel talk, and it was perfectly online that we prepared and really explaining the spirit of what we are doing in EShape. So that's really perfect. So if any of the person have a question or need support, really we recommend them to go through the help desk, to register, and to use the help desk for that. So just some word I would like to add on the presentation on the onboarding. The pilots and the team that are going to propose this pilot will be more than welcome in EShape, because they will really participate as partners to our adventure and to our work. And so the idea is really for us also to verify that what we design, what we have developed, and what we are applying to the 27 pilot can be also generalized, not only to the one that are going to apply, but also to the next one that will be selected in 2021, and maybe on a larger scale when we make all this knowledge available to the community. And that's something we just start. So just to add some word also on the project. So it's only 1 year that we start, but it seems that we are really on a momentum which is really high, and trying to develop really all the activity and pushing the community to go on. And so even if we knew the partner that are currently on the project, we spend the year to build the spirit about what we want to do, to work together, to construct the operational collaboration, to organize the activity, and to expose ourselves. And the EOcafe is one of these activities of exposing our work and trying to also involve new partners, involve new community, and share also with the EO community and the EO business industry what we find and what we understand that's being of importance on what we are doing. But I think there are many more to come, and for sure the 3 coming year will be also full of adventure for us. So I just want to stress again that EShape is not just another EU project. We really aim at constructing a strategic knowledge and to share it with the European EO community, the companies, of course, the researchers, the decision makers, the citizen, and and all the community, the global community which is involved within the global Earth, the group on Earth observation. So that's really something that we have in mind, and we want really to help the Eurogeo initiative in its implementation plan, and really to contribute at the European level. So I hope at the end of this we will have offer operational services designed with and for the users, using this unique environment that Europe is providing through the Copernicus program, and to all the EO companies, and also through Geo and the partners. So really we hope to have all the community with us on board, and really to reach a successful project, but not only a successful community, and a long-term activity that will really help the community to go further and further, and to prove that that's really a good idea to push the EO community in Europe.
You say something important for me there, because you talk about long term, and I was going to add sustainability. You know, the project is not, in my view at least, is not just about a 4-year project. It's about creating an environment where we can help businesses grow, and help entrepreneurs and researchers bring their ideas into an operational, maybe not in a business, it may be in a public service institution, but can bring their ideas through into an operational role. So I should have really given you a reminder that if anyone wants to ask any questions, please just signal in the chat. We don't seem to have any questions at the moment, so the floor is completely open if you have some. Maybe I can ask Emmanuel just to explain a little bit about some of the other tools that are available, because we've talked about the support from the platforms that Marie-Françoise has talked about. We've mentioned the word sustainability booster. We've mentioned the onboarding process, but we haven't really talked about some of the other tools that might be available to help companies if they or new partners who come on board through the onboarding process. Emmanuel, can you explain a little bit more?
Yes, for sure. We have a really good example of already achievement, I would say. Thanks to EShape, we have the opportunity to really interact with different kind of stakeholders. It could be people, for example, for the European Commission. It could be really end users, communities, representatives. And this opportunity really is that we can discuss with them and present them your capabilities, and to understand how they will fit, what should be the wording to be used, what are really the challenges they faced, in order to maximize the integration of your potential solution, or to customize this solution. This is where the core design is really important. We will collect a lot of information, knowledge, in order to help partners to optimize their solution for the real need of the different communities of users. And it's quite unique to have this opportunity. On top of this, we will have this sustainability booster, which will focus on the different thematic or market which are showcased on EShape, in order to extract different external information, business intelligence, in order to help you to have a better picture of what's the current situation. And we know all that business intelligence is a key. It's very difficult to do sometimes, and is really a key input in order to build elements to the sustainability. So we have a lot of this additional input we will provide to you. It's not, that's why we say it's not only about the product, it's really about all the ecosystem upstream, downstream, that we will have the possibility to interact with, and to share with you, and to promote you with different events. At the end, we will organize, for example, numerous workshops where you will have concrete opportunities to discuss with them and to interact with them. So we are really a door opener for you. Use it.
We have a lot of workshops to organize around Europe on different themes and with different customers. I think the I think it's 24 is the number that comes to mind that we're due to organise in the next 3 years. So that's a fairly intensive. So if there aren't workshops there that interest you, I'd be very surprised. And on top of all that, there's 50k available from the project to help support the activity that you're embarked upon. So, please look carefully the onboarding. Please apply if you think it can be useful. But the opportunity is there. We normally the cafe is normally there for we schedule it for 30 minutes. We plan for 45, and we keep the whole cafe open for an hour so that there's time for a discussion. So I was about to pass on, but I see we've just had Jeff Smith is asking to put a question. Jeff, let me just give you the floor to you to put your question.
Okay, thanks, Jeff, and hi everybody. No, I just have a question. There's various initiatives like EARSC and EARSC at the moment. I mean, can the same organisations or consortia apply to both of those, or is there some kind of exclusivity between them?
No, you're absolutely eligible. As you are a EARSC beneficiary, I know your eligibility criteria, and so by default, yes, you are eligible to apply to EARSC. It's completely open for you.
Okay, great, thank you.
So more opportunities, Jeff.
Yes.
So let me thank Emmanuel and particularly Marie-Françoise for joining us today to talk about the work in EARSC and to talk about the onboarding and the opportunities. I'd like to thank Natasha as well for all her work in setting all this up. I think EOcafe has been a great initiative, and we look forward to having many more. We should have what's the noise? We should have one more EOcafe